talk to us a little bit about the household concept and what is a more proper way to accumulate wealth and live a more comfortable life?
I think the simplest example that I've always used is that you look at any civilization, what makes up a civilization? Well, the family unit makes up any civilization. And so it's the household. I mean, the economy is, the subproduct of all the households in that particular civilization are doing, whether it's a country or whatever. That's the first concept. So, and then when you look at all of the assets that are owned by anyone, they're owned by individuals. I mean, you may have corporations that own things, but corporations are owned by individuals. So the reason I'm saying that is because when you look at your household, number one, your household needs to be treated like a business because it really is. And there's assets, there's things to manage. And, I think that's the first thing people got to make sure that they're taken care of is their household. That's your family unit. That is making sure that, the household is in great financial shape, that everyone's taken care of. The fact that you own a business or a piece of real estate or a 401k or a bank account, these are all just assets that are owned by the household. We call it the parent company. And if you start to really grasp that, I think what ends up happening is they look at their practice as this ginormous energy sucker that takes all of their attention and all of their energy, and like the practice is much, much more important than the household. And all I'm trying to do is flip that concept and say, no, the practice is a income generator. It's obviously where you spend a lot of your time. You have a lot of passion there, but you also have to make sure that it is taking care of the family unit. And not just a little, not just enough to pay your expenses, but that it's providing enough so that it can create real financial independence. And I think once you start to adopt that concept, you look at the business differently. And instead of saying, well, I'm going to take just enough out for me and then I'm going to reinvest everything back into the business. Well, unfortunately, what happens is that the business is going to eat everything that it sees. It's going to consume everything. Okay. So once you start grasping some of these concepts, it gives you permission to say, you know what? Some of this money that this practice is creating needs to be channeled to my household, not just for my personal benefit, but so that I can ensure that this household will be financially independent for my lifetime. And that's probably the biggest message I try to get across to physical therapy owners is that you guys deserve to have a lot of money. You deserve to get paid. You deserve to create wealth for yourself. And it's not selfish. You're not doing anything wrong by doing that. I got pushback on that, but I still believe it's the truth.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like as if PTs should not make any money, should be just helping patients,
Yeah.
and that's it, and nothing more than that. It's unbelievable some of the viewpoints that assumed there that PT cannot be also a business. Let's discuss a little bit about the challenge that private practitioners have, specifically with reimbursement. Many people that I talk to say, if my reimbursement goes down, but at the same time, my expenses go up, okay? Because rent is higher or mortgages, interest rates are higher, salaries are higher, especially trying to compete with hospital organizations that you compete for the same stuff, and meanwhile, they can pay a lot more because they make a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, reimbursement for private practice physical therapy goes down. So many therapists, private practice owners, they have a hard time in identifying ways to take more profit from the practice. That's why you see so suppressed profit margins in that area. How do they deal with that?
It's not easy to do. That is for sure. That has been a fight we've done for the last, 15 years. The only thing I can say is that you have to look at your profit margin not as something that you hope for or you wish to have happen or expect that it's just going to be left over at the end of the month. It actually has to be something that you treat like any other expense that you have. And it has to be on par with any other expense that you have. What I mean by that is like people will pay their rent every month. People will pay their payroll every month. People will pay a mortgage payment every month. Okay. And they do that because if I don't, then I can't keep this practice here. Okay. Well, why aren't you treating your profit that way? Because I got news for you. If you don't have a profit, you're not going to be able to keep the practice long term, nor is it going to be worth anything in the long term, nor is it going to be any fun, as you're managing it. So you really have to look at that profit margin as a necessity. It has to be something that is necessary. And again, it's kind of a mind shift because everyone, all the bookkeepers, all the CPAs, when they do your accounting and bookkeeping, it's like, well, here's what's your left over and this is your profit. This is what you've earned. As opposed to saying, no, 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 no. My profit is my priority. I have to make that because if I don't, I won't be able to expand and do these other things. That is the way out. It's very hard to walk it back if you've already been insolvent or if you have a low profit margin, but it can be done. It has to be done.